guys, welcome to Battle with the Turbo. Today we got Foster Guard featuring our Blissey V with Klinklang combo. We have our Gear Wall ability helping us reduce 20 damage down to all of our basic Pokemon done by our opponent's attacks. So we are tanking with our Blissey V even without Cape of Toughness or Charm of Courage being released yet. We actually get to reduce 20 for each copy in play as well. It is a stage 2 Pokemon though, so that means we need to play our Rare Candy to evolve it, which is quite difficult. But we have our V-Guard just in case we don't get to tank on the first turn. If our opponent is playing Miraidon, for example, we got our V-Guard against Raikou to reduce damage before we get this Pokemon into play. We actually get to reduce damage with our special energies. So if they play a Gyarados VMAX, we have our Starmie V to do Energy Spiral, hitting 50x damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Combined, if they have, for example, Lugia V-Star with double turbo attached and also 4 single strike energy, in addition to the impact on the Gyarados VMAX, we get to kill off the VMAX with 2 water energy attached to our Starmie without having to rely on our special energies and also without having to rely on Wydeer for doing the VMAX knockout. Obviously, if you have special energies on your Pokemon, you're not able to do any damage at all onto your opponent's Gyarados VMAX just because they have the Skyscraper ability, so we have to be careful of that. We have no Power Therapy in this deck. We have instead our Starmie to attack against Gyarados. We also have our Wydeer for a huge knockout against any EX, VMAX, or V-Star Pokemon with Psyshield Bash. So Psyshield Bash is doing 40x damage for each energy attached to his Pokemon, and Wydeer has the Frontier Road ability, allowing you to transfer any amount of energy from your other Pokemon onto your Wydeer. You get to move any special energy as well, or even any basic energy attached to your Blissey. After collecting from the discard pile with Blissful Blast, we get to switch onto the Wydeer and move as many energies attached to all of our other Pokemon so that we get to do as much damage as we can with Psyshield Bash for a huge VMAX knockout. And we also get to tank with our Wydeer, by the way. If they're not able to knock out our Wydeer after having our V-Guard transferred onto it, we also get to reduce damage done to Wydeer by 20 for each Klinklang we have in play. We're only playing 2 Kling, but we have 3 copies of the evolution, 3 copies of the stage 2 for us to be able to play, have up to 2 copies in play. We also have our Heavy Ball to get our Kling, our basics from the prize, so we actually get to have 2 copies in play, reducing 40 damage done to our Wydeer, allowing us to tank up to 250 damage with our Wydeer. If they play, for example, Arcanine doing 250 damage with the EX, they're not actually able to kill off our Wydeer just because we are reducing 40 damage with our Klinklang having 2 copies on the bench. Obviously, it's quite difficult to evolve, but we have our stage 1 evolution. We also have 3 rare candies with our supporter cards to draw cards as well. We also have Radiant Greninja, obviously. So Radiant Greninja helps as our draw support, primary draw engine, but we have also supporter cards to draw cards into our hand, 2 research, 1 Zinnia to discard energies as well, and 1 Schoolgirl, which fits really well for a V deck since we are losing 2 prize for a Blissey knockout, or if they knock out our Starmie Wydeer, they are only drawing 2 prize at a time, and that means Schoolgirl is actually perfect for this deck. We also have our Serena to draw cards, or also to serve as the boss against a V Pokemon on our opponent's bench. We have 1 boss to target any Pokemon on the bench, any Radiant Pokemon as well, just to deal with them, so that we get to deny them the ability, like a Radiant Charizard especially. We also have our switches, so that we get to activate our Wydeer's ability. So Wydeer's ability only works, obviously, if you switch it into the active. You only get to transfer energy from your other Pokemon onto your Wydeer if you switch it into the active from the bench. So you have to be very careful with that. That's why we have 3 switch cards in this deck, 1 switch card, 1 escape rope, and 1 switch. We also are playing 1 Gyarados V for us to transform the Blissey at the last minute with the Thorton into our Gyarados for us to play the Get Angry attack, hitting 20x damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon for 2 water and 1 colorless. So if we have, for example, 20 up to 21 damage counters on our Blissey, we can transform using our Thorton at the last minute into our Gyarados for another huge knockout using Get Angry for big damage. So obviously we want to be switching into the Wydeer first, so our first Blissey is basically there to collect the energy for us to switch into the Wydeer and do big damage with our Psyshield Bash while tanking the damage. After having, just before it dies, after surviving the first few hits, we want to be collecting as much energies as we can, and then switching into the Wydeer to do Side Shield Bash up to once or twice. We can actually tank with our Wydeer as well, since we are taking 20 less using this Pokemon. Having our Gear Wall on the bench, we actually get to possibly survive another hit, survive another turn with our Wydeer, doing Side Shield Bash twice in a row, while attaching energy from our hand onto the bench Blissey with damage counters on it, preparing it for the transformation into a Gyarados on the next turn for us to play Get Angry for the last knockout. So it's a very, very good strategy. We actually get to play Side Shield Bash twice before using the Thorton for a last minute knockout using our Gyarados. We also have one Dunsparce for the weakness guard, one Manaphy for the bench barrier, one boss, and our regular setup cards, 4 VIP, 4 Nest Ball with 1 Heavy Ball to get any basics from the prize, and also our 3 Ultra Ball to get evolutions with 3 Rare Candy as well. We even have 1 Forest Seal Stone to help us search for any card from the deck using Star Alchemy, a V-Star power on our V Pokemon. Since we are playing basic V attackers, might as well just use our Forest Seal Stone to search for the Rare Candy, giving us a bonus stage 2 evolution, helping us tank more damage with a second Klinklang, possibly helping us evolve 2 copies in a row. We also have our PokéStop to dig for our Rare Candy or any other items that we need, the Switch Cart or even our VIP on the first turn going second. We actually get to play our PokéStop to dig for more items, helping us save our hand, potentially if we don't get our research at the right time, helping us discard energies as well for us to play our Blissful Blast, attaching more energies on this Pokemon early for us to be able to hit big damage with it, or even our Wydeer after switching into this Pokemon and playing Side Shield Bash for another big knockout. So that's all for the deck list. Now let's go for some gameplay and see how well this deck works. Okay, let's go for our first game versus Mew VMAX. It's a pretty standard deck. They got double turbo, no Meloetta, so that's good news. If we can hit for 2 VMAX knockout, that would be game. So that's what we should be aiming for. Targeting the VMAXs. If we have Serena or Boss, we should really be hitting the same Mew VMAX for the knockout. If we target a Genesect, we would need a triple knockout to win the game. Sometimes it's better to do that though, just because we have Escape Rope to basically kill for the last 2 prize. We can play Side Shield Bash up to 2 times. If they don't deal with the Wydeer, if they spend all of their what's it called again, power tablets, if they use all of their power tablets on the first Blissey, well obviously they don't need to play that many for the first knockout though, just because Blissey only has 250 HP and we are only reducing by 20 for each Klinklang on the bench. We have V-Guard though. If we're lucky enough to get V-Guard early, they may need 2 power tablets with the Choice Belt just to deal with the first Blissey. And then after that, I don't think they can kill off the next one that easily. Not even our Wydeer, if they don't get, the other 2 power tablets out. So they definitely need the Choice Belt. They are actually playing a lot of tool cards for this build. They have Forest Seal Stone, which is very common for Mew VMAX. They also have the glove. What's it called again? The Cleansing Glove against Gardevoir EX decks, and also Comfy. If they are playing against Lost Box, they can quite easily play Psychic Leap, against probably against Gardevoir, because they don't really need the glove against Comfy, since they are doing 70 base damage already with Psychic Leap. They have the double turbo though, my bad. They do have double turbo, and they actually need the glove against the Comfy, which is interesting. So they're not playing Elisa, no Fusion Strike energy. I'm not sure why. I think it's for the turbo effect, just to make the deck a lot faster, so that they get to attack on the second turn right after evolving the Mew VMAX instantly, without having to dig for the energy, without having to play Elisa and search for the other Fusion Strike. If they play the Fusion Strike energy though, I feel like it would be a lot better, just because it protects you from all effects of abilities. It helps you attach extra energy onto the bench as well. It gives you the potential of attacking with Meloetta as well. So Meloetta as an attacker is also a big, is doing big damage while forcing your opponent to waste their bosses just to deal with your Mew VMAX. I feel like having Meloetta is a big plus if you're playing Mew, just because it is a 1-price attacker doing big damage for only 2 energies, and it's basic Pokemon as well. Like, it's a 1-price basic doing a maximum of 280 damage. How crazy is that? You can literally hit up to 210 or even more with your Choice Belt and Power Tablet on the first turn going second. Using Elisa for Seal Stone, like turn 2 donking with Meloetta, is still a thing. Gotta watch out for Duraludon though, because Duraludon is actually denying them from doing any damage with Double Turbo Fusion Strike energies. They probably have Path to the Peak though, just to deal with the Duraludon. I feel like the best card to play instead of Path to the Peak is Canceling Cologne, because if you play Path, you're locking your own ability and they need Genesect to draw cards. If they play the Path at the wrong time, it could actually screw them up. It could kind of, block them from drawing the right cards at the right time. And, if you play Path without having a Worker or a Lost Vacuum in your hand, at some point in the game, if you get it late, then you can't draw cards for a few turns, and a couple turns is all it takes for your opponent to destroy your entire strategy, to basically win the game, by wiping out your Mew VMAX. So definitely Canceling Cologne, I feel like would be a better thing. It would be a better deal against Duraludon, but probably not against, decks that rely on their V-Star power to give them that extra boost. So if you want to lock their V-Star power, I suppose you could do Path to the Peak at the right time. I guess that's the advantage that you get if you are using that Stadium for Mew VMAX. But I kind of prefer Canceling Cologne. I don't know. I just prefer that. If you're playing Lost Vacuum for Mew VMAX, might as well do Path to the Peak, right? I guess. But how many Lost Vacuum can you fit into the deck? That's the question. How likely are you to get the Lost Vacuum in addition to the Path to the Peak at the same time in your hand with nothing but Judge? They are playing nothing but Judge for this build. I'm quite surprised. They have 4 Judge in the deck and no other supporter cards. They have Serena, I think. I'm not too sure. No research though, surprisingly. They could have it priced, potentially. I'm not sure what's happening, but they may have some other supporter cards that we don't know of. But for now, I see only Judge. And they actually did play Judge 4 turns straight in a row, which is quite ridiculous. Like, I don't know why. They have Genesect to draw cards, which is quite easy, I suppose. And that's the reason they get to play around with the hand disruption, while also shuffling their deck. If you shuffle your hand, Judge is actually perfect for Mew VMAX though, just because you may get stuck with items that you can't play, like VIP in your hand, or, items that you don't really want to play right now, items that you want to, save for later, and Judge is actually helping you shuffle, which is a good thing for Mew VMAX, just because you want to be getting different cards into your hand, and Judge is helping you do that. So I guess the reason they're not playing Meloetta with Elisa is because they want to be adding cards like Path to the Peak, Worker, Lost Vacuum to basically counter the current meta, helping them tech in those cards to basically make it stronger against decks like Miraidon, Gardevoir EX, also to make it faster as well. So turbo speed is all that matters, honestly, in standard. And if you get, for example, a Mew but not the Meloetta, if you don't get to bench the Meloetta early, but if you have the Elisa, it's not actually going to help you attack with the Mew VMAX that early. So might as well just focus on the VMAX instead of, having 2 different attackers with different ways of doing big damage. So Meloetta requires a lot of Fusion Strike energies in game, in play, for them to do up to 280 damage with Melony's Echo. For Mew VMAX, they need to evolve fast and get the energy in the game as well. So I guess it's all for consistency that they're doing the double turbo with Mew VMAX. I've seen it a lot though. People keep playing Mew VMAX with double turbo without Meloetta, but I still believe that Meloetta is a very, very strong card. Lost Box is a big thing now though, and I guess this build is really, really good against a Lost Box, especially if they play Radiant Charizard with Sableye. So Sableye can quite easily place 9 damage counters to kill off the Meloetta on the bench or in the active, while, putting pressure on the Mew VMAX by adding 3 damage counters on it, basically allowing you to kill off the VMAX on the next turn with your Radiant Charizard using a Choice Belt. So obviously they could still play Oricorio though. If they have Oricorio on the bench, Radiant Charizard is not able to kill off the Mew. You kind of need another turn to play, another Lost Mine to kill it off. But if you play the Lost Mine a second time, you could kill off the Oricorio and the Mew VMAX for the next turn. So if they have it on the bench any supporting basic Pokemon with low HP, Sableye is going to be able to just wipe them out easily while also putting pressure on the VMAX. You know, adding some more damage counters on it for you to be able to play the Clara on the next turn and revive your Radiant Charizard for another big smash. So I guess the reason they have, they can even do a Serena or boss on the Genesect or even a Kyogre at the last minute to kill up the double Genesect at the last minute. Obviously, Lost Box should be playing Drapion as well against Mew VMAX. So Mew VMAX actually has the choice now. I think a lot of builds actually tailor the Mew VMAX. The new version is, you know, able to survive against Drapion. So if your opponent, if you are playing a Mew VMAX, if you are anticipating a Drapion, if you know your opponent has a Drapion in their deck, you could actually choose not to bench that many Genesect for you to basically stop them from using its ability. They even have Path to the Peak to basically lock Drapion's ability, so that's actually a very good combo. They actually get to choose how many bench Pokemon they can play for them to deny Drapion's ability to reduce his attack cost, forcing them to attach more energies if they want to attack with Drapion. So that's the thing now. People are choosing not to bench. What can you do? It's a very interesting strategy. Drapion doesn't always work. So here comes another judge. So we didn't get a lot of supporter cards early, and now no matter how many times they shuffle our deck, we're definitely going to get our supporters by now. We got Research, Serena, Zinnia in the deck, and for some reason we're not getting any supporters early. Just because they have Genesect, they're allowed to draw a lot faster. We're kind of stuck. So we have one security. We have the PokéStop to help us discard energy early if we don't get our supporters. We have Schoolgirl, 2 Research, not many supporter cards, but we have Radiant Greninja to help us draw cards as well. So I feel like we're fine. But they did lock out Greninja's ability though, using Path to the Peak for this game, which is super depressing. In addition to fumbling our hand, disrupting our hand with their judge. It's really frustrating. But we are managing to survive with our tank build, helping us survive extra turns before we get the right cards in hand. So all we need is to wait for Blissey to collect enough energies before switching into the Wydeer, do a big knockout with our Psyshield Bash, and then think about using the Thorton at the last minute for another huge knockout. So Get Angry is going to secure us the second VMAX knockout. We kind of need Melony though, because if we transfer all energies onto the Wydeer, we need 3 more energies on the next turn to be able to attack after transforming into the Gyarados. Just because Get Angry requires 2 water and 1 colorless. And that means if you don't get Melony at the right time, you're basically screwed. We may not need Melony if we can tank for extra turns. So sometimes it may be better to leave 1 or 2 energies on your Blissey, but we actually don't have any water energy on it. We're that unlucky. We are that unlucky for this game. We didn't get any water energies, no supporter cards, no Forest Seal Stone, but we did get it this turn. It's not going to make much of a difference. We can search for Melony later on at some point in the game. So if we switch this turn, we got the Research, I think we're fine for this turn. If we switch onto the Wydeer, we get to hit big on the Mew VMAX this turn, but I don't think we're doing a knockout though. Unfortunately, we're only doing a maximum of 300 damage. If we attach the energy from our hand right now, we need the double turbo. So if we play the Research, we may not get a double turbo though. I think we already have, you know, all 3 double turbos attached. We only are playing 3 copies for this build, unfortunately. So Wydeer is not able to kill the Mew, but if we can survive 1 hit, if they don't get their second tablet though, I don't think they can kill off the Wydeer. And if we survive 1 turn, if we have that extra 1 turn to play our Melony with the Forest Seal Stone, we can actually get enough energies before playing the Thorton for the last knockout. So we discarded the Gyarados with our Research, which is perfect. We played our PokéStop, we got our Thorton from the Research, so we don't really need to worry about discarding the wrong cards. And now we're just gonna switch using our Forest Seal Stone. We actually need the switch though, because we want to be putting pressure on the active Mew. since they would probably put out the Genesect into the active if we play the Escape Rope. So if we kill off the Genesect, we need another 2 knockouts to be able to win the game. We need to be dealing with the Mew. But we're not actually doing a knockout this turn though, so it may be actually wiser to play the Escape Rope and then potentially do a boss on a second Genesect after killing off the first Mew VMAX. So if we do a knockout on the Genesect right now, we could actually think about killing the first Mew while doing a Serena or boss on the second Genesect for the win. So that could be a better strategy, I'm not sure, because we're actually not killing the Mew this turn. I wasn't expecting it. I thought we're doing a knockout. We're only doing 300 damage, because Double Turbo is reducing by 20 for each copy. So we're actually doing 60 less damage, dropping it down to 300, which is very close though. All we need is a Choice Belt or another Energy or Melony or something for us to hit that extra 30 for the knockout. We don't have a Choice Belt for this deck, so we're not actually allowed to do that. I was quite surprised, honestly, that we didn't get the VMAX knockout by this time. Like, it's quite late in the game and we're still not able to do... We're not drawing any prize cards yet. So, it's not looking too well, is it? Let's hope they don't get the second tablet. If they don't get the second tablet though, they're not actually able to kill off our Wydeer. So we have one Klinklang on the bench and one Dunsparce. We don't need the Dunsparce, but I guess it's just there for the decoy or potentially just to empty our deck. If we have the Nest Ball, we want to be playing it to bench Pokemon so that we can draw other cards into our hand, right? If we don't get the supporter early, we want to be benching as much Pokemon to basically compress the deck so that we get the right cards into our hand. Obviously, you should be benching another Klink, another one of your, basic metal Pokemon. It's called Klink, I think. The basic one is called Klink, the stage 1 is called Klang, and the stage 2 is called Klinklang. It's quite a ridiculous name. But we only are playing 2 copies though, and for this game, we actually got the other one prized. So we need the Heavy Ball to get the second copy into the game, but they actually just played the Echoing Horn to put our Gyarados on the bench, and now we're stuck with Gyarados in play. We're not actually allowed to play the Thorton anymore. They even did the Judge. They played the Judge, shuffling our Thorton back into the deck, and now we kind of have to dig for it back. It's pointless. We don't really need it anymore. So Gyarados is out of the question. If they kill off the Wydeer this turn though, I think all we need to do is think about drawing out the Melony. Because if they damage the Gyarados, we should be playing the Blissey though, shouldn't we? If we attach the energy on the Gyarados, let's hope they don't get the second tablet. If they don't get the second tablet, they can't kill the Wydeer. And then we got another knockout on the second Mew, on the second VMAX, with obviously the more HP. They didn't got the knockout. So if they killed our Wydeer though, if they get the second tablet, we are basically screwed. That's honestly their 4th tablet, my bad. It's actually their 4th tablet. If they get the 4th one, then we would have to choose whether to attack with our Blissey or Gyarados on the next turn. If we attack with Gyarados, they can quite easily just boss out the Blissey or even a Klinklang to knock it out. If they boss the Blissey, we're done, right? So thank God they did not get their 4th power tablet. Hopefully it's prized. Let's hope it's prized because they actually have very few cards left in the deck. Even the Forest Seal Stone to search for any card from the deck, but they actually played Star Alchemy already, so they got no more V-Star power to, for the free search, but they can still do cards like Cram-O-Matic to get the second power tablet into their hand, Irida, Arven, anything. But it seems like they may have it prized. That would be the better explanation. Kind of makes sense though if you're playing 4 copies. Would have to expect at least one to get prized, right? So we got our first VMAX knockout. Now we just need to hit for the second one. And they have 10 HP remaining. They have 10 HP remaining for the Mew right now. So they should really be playing Psychic Leap with the Power Tablet and the Choice Belt. But even then, they don't have enough damage. I think they played Max Miracle on the last turn. Because Max Miracle actually ignores all effects of your opponent's Pokemon. And that means they get to ignore the V-Guard. They get to ignore our Klinklang's ability. They get to ignore everything. But they are still doing less damage though. They should have played... They definitely should have done Techno Blast Techno Blast is hitting 170 damage even after the damage reduction, as opposed to playing Max Miracle for only 140 damage. So if they did Techno Blast on the last turn, I don't think it's enough even for them to play the Psychic Leap for the knockout, because Psychic Leap is only doing 50 damage with double turbo. They need not just the Choice Belt, they need another Power Tablet to be able to kill off the Wydeer this turn. They got the tablet, but they still need the Choice Belt, obviously. If they get the Choice Belt, I would be pretty depressed, because that's all they need to basically play Psychic Leap to finish us off, had they done Techno Blast on the last turn. Okay, now we just need 40 damage, and that's it. We got the energy, they played another Judge, and we actually got the energy. We attached it on the Gyarados on the last turn. So all we need is 1 energy this turn on the Blissey, and we got another VMAX knockout. We even got the Melony. So we're doing 70 damage right now, wiping out the second VMAX for the last 3 prize, winning the game against a Mew. Blissey for standard, how about that? And we actually get to dig for more energies before ending the game with Blissful Blast. Mama Blissey's here to play, yo! It's nurture versus nature, and nurture wins! Yeah! So next we have an Arceus V-Star matchup. We also have Dialga V-Star with Lugia V-Star for the next match as well. So stay tuned for more fun, and I think we're gonna sign out right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this combo. We are featuring our Blissey V back in standard, using Klinklang to tank big damage with V-Guard as well. Having up to 2 copies in play helps us take 40 less damage with our Blissey V. Having 250 HP, we even get to play Charm of Courage for the next set, you know, once it gets released. Obviously, you should be adding the tool card into this deck build for you to tank even more with Blissey, and even Wydeer for you to basically switch it into play. Do Side Shield Bash for a huge knockout before playing the Thorton to transform the Blissey with the Charm of Courage attached. You actually get to tank more with your Gyarados as well. Playing the Thorton allows you another huge knockout with your Gyarados, doing Get Angry for 20x damage for each damage counter on that Pokemon. If you have, for example, 21 damage counters on your Blissey, after tanking with it and attacking with Blissful Blast, after collecting energies and tanking with the first Blissey, you should be transferring the energies onto the Wydeer while preparing for Thorton later on in the game for another huge knockout with Gyarados. We even have Starmie V to counter a Duraludon VMAX deck, helping us do Energy Spiral to do a huge knockout, doing 50x damage for each energy attached to all of our opponent's Pokemon. Combined, if they play Lugia V-Star with Duraludon VMAX, attaching multiple energies with Archeops, we actually get a huge knockout, playing basic energy on our Starmie, killing off the Duraludon with 1 hit. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye from me, people. Enjoy life.